background there, but that's Phil's parents practicing their vocal Christmas songs for their concert coming up this week. I am pretty excited to go watch them, and what I'm doing is, while they practice, hanging out in the kitchen making some gingerbread. One of my favorite Christmas treats, even though I make it throughout the year because I love it that much. But when it starts to get really snowy outside, that's when I really want to make some gingerbread. So I am looking out at a winter wonderland. The snow is falling, it's gorgeous, and I've got my gingerbread started. So what I do is start in a pot, because we're going to heat this recipe up. It is a fantastic recipe that works really well for cutouts. You can make them into ornaments, you can make them into a house, whatever you like. So you're going to start with half a cup of brown rice or maple syrup, and what I do is I just fill the cup up halfway with that and then fill the rest with molasses. You can use the light flavored molasses or blackstrap, whichever you prefer. Then you're going to add a pinch of salt. I know they're cookies, but you do need a little bit of salt to bring the flavors together and also to help the action of the baking soda once we add it. Spices that are going in here. Number one, ginger. They're gingerbread. You gotta add some ground ginger. Then cinnamon, allspice, and a little bit of cloves. Now, if you don't have cloves, or if you really can't stand cloves, you can leave it out, or you can add a little bit of black pepper, add a bit more allspice, but I find the flavor of them, I don't like cloves on their own necessarily, but all together, wonderful. So you're gonna stir this together really well. So there's all of our spices in the pot, and I'm just gonna stir it around and mix it thoroughly into the molasses and syrup. Then you're gonna put this onto the stove and actually bring it to a boil. So keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't burn on the bottom. You can see how much more liquid this is now that it's heated up. So to this, we're gonna add some coconut oil, one of my favorite oils for baking. Makes excellent substitute for butter because it is a saturated fat. And scoop out any last little bits of molasses from the cup. The recipe calls for half a cup of coconut oil. You can use less if you wish. I usually use a bit less than that. And then stir it through here. And because coconut oil is solid, you want to stir it through until it melts. It smells lovely. Okay, now comes my favorite part of this recipe. We're gonna add the baking soda, and you're gonna add 1 teaspoon. This is a half teaspoon measure, so I've got 2 halves there. And then you're gonna stir it in and watch as it expands as the baking soda starts to act. Make sure you get any chunks of baking soda broken up. Okay, it's the heat and the salt that is making this baking soda puff up like this. Okay, once you get it mixed in, don't stir it, just let the air expand there. So there is our wet section of the recipe. Now you're going to add the flour to make into a cookie batter, and what you should use is a whole grain flour. I've listed spelt in the recipe, although you can use any kind of whole grain you can find. Whole wheat, if that's all you can find, is okay. Spelt is good just because it's a different grain than we normally eat. Any type of flour will work pretty well. I would probably not use brown rice flour in this recipe just because it's quite grainy and it doesn't really go very well with the gingerbread. So measure out your flour. Put it right into the pot and then stir it in to come up with your dough. Okay? A good idea is to only add part of the flour at first and make sure you have enough liquid, because certain flours can act differently depending on how they're ground, depending on how the wet ingredients are working together, depending on the moisture in the air, depending on all kinds of factors, the ratio of wet to dry in your recipe can change slightly. So what I'm going to do is add probably 2.5 cups to start and see how that goes. I can always add more flour as I go, but I can't really take it out. So start with that and see how it goes. Gingerbread dough is quite dry, so don't be worried if your texture is looking like this. This is about perfect. And this is actually my 2.5 cups. So I may need to add more flour as I roll, but that was a pretty good amount for this today. Okay, after a certain point, what you need to do is get in there with your hands and just bring it together and make sure, first of all, that you have clean hands, which I do, and then make sure that it'll hold together in a ball. So see how solid that is? That's good. And I can probably work more flour into that, but I like the texture. As long as it doesn't stick to your hands, using less flour is going to be better because it'll make for a softer cookie. Another important thing to keep in mind is that you don't want to overmix this batter. It helps to put it in the fridge to let it rest. So if you want to at this point, you can divide the batter into half. You'll be working with half. The other half you can put into into plastic wrap or wax paper or whatever you like to use. Put that in the fridge and let it rest, okay? It's not necessary, it just helps the gingerbread make a softer texture. So when you're rolling out cookies, what you want to do is sprinkle some flour onto your board. And Phil's mom has this lovely marble cutting board that is perfect for rolling out cookies. You can put it in the freezer when you're working with things that need to be chilled. Then you get your dough out here. And it doesn't hurt to sprinkle the top of the dough with flour as well as sprinkling your rolling pin with flour. Okay, so getting things rolled out here. Now if you do a thicker cookie, it'll be softer. If you do a thinner cookie, it'll be crispier. So it's up to you as to how thin or thick you make your cookies. I like to do about, I'm really bad at measurements, but I would say that that is like 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Somewhere in there is where I usually do my cookies. So you get it rolled out, and then you take your cutters and press them into the dough. I usually like to do a variety of different cookie cutters, but I only have one right now. The man. And then they should lift easily out when you've floured the counter or the board. Otherwise, use like a spatula to lift them out, and then you're going to put that on a cookie sheet. Once you get all of the pieces up and out, you put the leftovers back together into a ball. Reflour your board because it'll get sticky. And then roll it out again and repeat. Once you get all your little men or women cut out, then it's time to decorate them if you wish. And rather than using icing and sprinkles and stuff like that, you can make them healthy by decorating with raisins, some little eyes. You can use peanuts for some buttons. Cranberries are also nice. some red buttons, and just press them a little bit into the gingerbread, and as it bakes, they'll work their way in there. If you're making decorations, this would be the time to make a hole in them. What I mean to say is, if you're making ornaments out of your cookies, and what you can do is take a fork or a knife or something like that and just make a hole. Fork is a little bit difficult because it wants to make multiple holes. Toothpick would probably be the best tool for this job. So you're gonna pop your gingerbread into the oven at about 350 degrees. They take about 12 to 15 minutes. You want to wait until you really smell the scent of the gingerbread coming out of the oven. That's really the best way to tell when cookies are done, is when you can smell them. Then once they are done, you get to take them out, let them cool on the tray a little bit first. Otherwise they'll be very tender, delicate, if you will. I know they're men, but yes, they are still delicate. Then you will take your little men off, put them on a cooling rack to let them cool, and then they are ready to eat. Get creative with the toppings. There are lots of good ideas out there. Slivered almonds are an excellent one as well. So I hope you enjoy your beautiful gingerbread cookies. Most people, when I bring these gingerbread cookies, can't tell at all that they were vegan, and they're also blown away when I tell them that they're actually healthy cookies made with whole grain flour, low fat, and low in sugar. And the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir. The harvest of as white as lily, and Mary